The president of the European Union, Ursula von der Leyen, if I pronounce her name right, yeah. So she's been speaking against free speech. She's been doing this for forever. She's just recently came out again and spoke against, she calls it disinformation. She says that that people need to be inoculated against misinformation by the European Union needs to do censorship. They need to basically put out their propaganda to prevent people from accepting ideas that are not in line with their nihilistic, globalistic, political philosophy. See, the reason why she's saying this, and the reason why these people are saying things like this is because they've lost the philosophic argument. The philosophic base that their political power rests on is already lost, okay? Because people can see that nihilism, this idea that 2 + 2 = 5, that 2 men can have a baby, that these immigrants from third world countries, from North Africa and the Middle East, are these doctors and lawyers and stuff like that, is not true. It is prima facie not true. People can see it right in front of their faces. Now, you still have a lot of people in Europe that are just, just completely I don't know how to explain it, maybe stupid or retarded in the sense that, not necessarily that they're stupid because they have to be, but they're stupid by choice. In other words, they're seeing what's going on and they still have this suicidal empathy. We have this here in the United States to some degree. Europe seems to be a little worse with this, and that's because Europe has a history of state worship. The United States does not. We're based on a culture of rugged individualism. That's not true in Europe. But nonetheless, even in Europe, people are looking at what's going on. You see what's going on in France, all the protests and everything else. In the Netherlands, they're taking away farmland. The Netherlands is like the most productive farmland in the world, and yet they're taking that away for what? Because they want to build their EU projects. That doesn't make any sense. Again, this is the state seizure of private property. The European Union is by no means free market. It's a socialistic, tyrannical. You don't have free speech. They're doing everything they can to screw over their populations, right? Well, I shouldn't say everything, but they're doing a lot of things to screw over their populations, and it's based on dishonesty. So that's the whole thing. That's why she's saying things like this. They have to inoculate people against what she calls misinformation. What she's saying is that she wants to make this European Union into this feudalistic serfdom, where back then it was the church that controlled everything. She wants the European Union to have that level of control over people. See, when a regime loses the philosophic argument because they didn't deliver what they promised. They're not delivering what people expect from government. I made a video on this yesterday. When that doesn't happen, when people see that the regime is not what it was, what they stated it was, the only thing they can do after that is back it up by force. And the European Union is heading in that direction. Just like Iran is now at that junction, that Venezuela went past that junction and Maduro had to cling on to power with force. The Soviet Union was at that junction in the 1980s and dissolved in 1991 because the only thing they had left was try to hold on by force. And at that point, even the military wasn't loyal to the regime. So the European Union is very quickly heading in that direction. And the European Union doesn't really have much of a military either. France does, but Germany and the UK at this point really don't. And it's not going to be that difficult. I mean, if the Europeans really get upset, it's not going to be that difficult for them to overthrow their governments. We're getting to that point now. But we're at the point right now where they're trying to control all the information. Because, like I said, prima facie, they've lost the argument. They've lost the philosophic argument. As they're losing that, the only thing they have left is force. And then you're going to see that. You're going to see a crackdown even harder after this. I would advise the European people to keep right on going. Allow these regimes to lose all credibility because they deserve it. These regimes are out to get you. They are going to kill you. They're going to make it so that your families in the future have no future, okay, if they continue. They will have you replaced with North Africans and people in the Middle East. And then they'll live in their own little gated communities. They'll live apart from the mess that they've created because they want a population that they can rule over easily. And you're not as easy to rule over as these third world populations are. So that's the future if you don't stand up and say something. Yes, there's consequences to that, but you got yourself there. You're the ones that allow yourself to get disarmed. You're the ones that that accepted this false promise that the authorities and government were going to take care of you from cradle to grave. So now here you are. You disregarded what the Americans said. You thought Americans were crazy when we were trying to tell you, hey, you shouldn't give up your arms. Don't expect the government to take care of you. Socialism is a mess. You didn't listen. Maybe some of you did individually, but most of you did not. So now here you are. Now you're in this tyrannical slide. The way out of this is you're going to have to stand up and you're going to have to speak out. You're going to have to say the emperor has no clothes. That these immigrants have, on average, lower IQs. That they're, on average, more violent than the average European. Okay, you're going to have to say that. You're going to have to say that socialism it doesn't work like capitalism does. That you need laissez-faire capitalism. You have to say that was it 7 or 8 members of the Alternative for Deutschland party were basically murdered in West Germany months ago. You have to say that Macron is not doing what he should be for the French people. He should really just step down. You should say that war conflict with Russia right now is not really in the best interest. You need to fix things in your home countries. You need to say that in the UK, that Starmer, he was protecting the immigrants and he was protecting people that were basically child molesters over there as a legal counsel over there. I can't remember exactly what he did, but I remember he was in that capacity. So he defends the so-called rights of these foreigners, the foreigners that are violating the rights of people other than the law-abiding British people. You have to point these things out. You have no choice. If you don't, things are going to get a lot worse. So much worse if you don't. So speak up now while you still can. You still have a chance. You can still get out of this. It's going to be a mess, and you're probably looking at warfare, but you have no choice at this point. If you don't, you die. So speak up now. This lady, the president of the EU, she's saying that you need complete censorship, total censorship. And this, and it's going to fail, by the way. People are still going to access what she calls misinformation. The step after this, and I'm gonna warn you right now, the step after this is complete naked force. They're not going to even pretend to be quote unquote liberal. The velvet glove, the velvet is going to come off and it's going to be an iron fist. So just get ready for that. That's the next step. But if that happens, you're heading in the right direction. Allow the velvet glove to come off. Show everybody the iron fist that the EU is, and allow this thing to dissolve.